time to talk about, Tim, what we kind of opened up the episode with, what I'm so excited about. So there's just no way to get into it by saying it. One Punch Man will be getting the live action treatment via Sony Films, which is insane.
It's
This
crazy.
Right? Like, it just speaks to, like, because we've talked about all the time how, like, anime is basically like taking over America, right? Like, it's had a
Right.
huge
Yeah.
upsurge like in the last 2 years or so, especially with all the streaming platforms, and even in this quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the things that actually has been skyrocketing the most as far as viewership and stuff has been anime. Like Crunchyroll, Verve, a lot of these streaming
Right.
platforms for anime have been saying their numbers have skyrocketed in subscriptions and all that stuff. So this is only helping the anime, sweep the nation. But yeah, One Punch Man, it's getting a live action movie, and that tells a lot to how popular this show really became within the last. I think it's only been around for around 4 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
around there. At least in America, is when
Right.
it started coming over here and getting popular in the States. But I am super excited because, as people know, this is basically like a parody of like the superhero genre, right? Where it's about this guy Saitama, who he got his powers like absurdly by doing just like, like dumb things like 100 push-ups every day, for so many days, for so many days long, until eventually where he got like these crazy powers where he's literally like the trump card for any superhero ever, right?
Right.
So his whole thing, One Punch Man, is he could beat anyone with a single punch. So it's really funny. You would think that would be really boring, but it's really funny the way they play it out and how like he just wants to be a hero for fun. And then they have like the hero organization. They have different classes within this world where heroes are basically, like kind of above the police, and they save the world from like all these monster attacks and stuff like that. He has a sidekick named Genos, who's like a half cyborg. It's really, really fun, and I just can't wait to see the absurdity of this live action, because everyone knows who watches any kind of shonen anime like Dragon Ball Z or One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, it's huge. Like, it is
Oh yeah.
epic. But, in this day and age where superhero movies and animes are super, super popular, I think they could pull this off really well and give it the attention it deserves. I don't see why Sony would just take this if they didn't think they could do something cool with it. And now, given like their
Mm-hmm.
claim to fame as far in the superhero genre right now in recent years is Into the Spider-Verse. But I'm really curious to see what they do with the live action anime. I don't in America, I don't remember them doing a large property like this since when they tried to adapt Dragon Ball all those years ago, which again wasn't received very well.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest shock for me about this, and that's why I said right from the get, I was really surprised to see this news, because anime has grown so much in popularity. It's really exploded, as you said, over the past few years in the U.S. So I was really surprised to see this be the first franchise to kind of get the next live action treatment from a
Mm-hmm.
major studio. I really expected to see either The Last Airbender get rebooted, or even a Dragon Ball Z serious reboot, because the first one, as you said, was not good and it
Yeah.
wasn't treated very seriously. But I was expecting, because of the popularity of that series, not just here in the US, but worldwide, I
Mm-hmm.
was really expecting that, of all the anime franchises, I was expecting that to get the first real serious reboot, and be brought to the big screen in a much bigger franchise way.
Right.
So I was really surprised. But having said that, that's a really fun selection, and that might be what Sony was looking at when they said, "Hey, how do we ease into this market with live action films?" Because they can make this funny. They can do huge monsters. I mean, there's just so much they
Yeah.
can do with it. It's almost a mix of like kaiju and anime. The other big thing I think I'm probably going to echo what a lot of people are thinking right now, is I can't wait to see who they cast to play Saitama.
100%. That I'm very curious to see how this will look live action too. I think
Mm-hmm.
because of the nature, it is a comedic like action show.
Right.
It is like a comedic action anime. I think you can get away with it. That just
Right.
lends itself to like being able to do gag type stuff and whatnot. But at the same time, if they're gonna do this right, this is gonna be a big budget movie. Like,
Oh, it
it
has to
can't
be, yeah.
be like, with just even the way when he punches someone, because in the anime it's very dramatic, all like in all anime, the fast moving light, like the way the cameras zoom in and out, so it's got to be like big budget. And what we should also say about this is the guys writing the movie are the same dudes who wrote the Venom movie, Scott Rosenberg and Jeff Pinkner. So if you like the Venom movie, that's good news for you. If you didn't like the Venom movie, that's probably not good news for you. But I, say what you will about the Venom movie. I thought, if anything, it was very fun. I did enjoy it. So, I'm curious to see what they do with One Punch Man. And just because, they wrote a movie that you may not have liked or wasn't received well doesn't mean they can't write a good movie. You know what I mean? So certainly. I'm very curious.
Yeah, same here. I mean, at the very least, you have to be excited about the idea because, whether you're a fan even of the animation of anime, the concept of One Punch Man is
brilliant.
Really fun. It's really, really fun. So for me, even though, again, I've said on the show before, and very well, Arris, I don't watch anime really. I've seen some things that you've introduced me to over the years.
Come to the light, Tim. Come to the light.
But I have watched some of One Punch Man, and it's a really fun series, and so it'll be fun to see that get converted. And I really I'm super curious to see who's going to play that role. I really kind of wish this was done like a decade or so ago, so Jackie Chan could play the lead role.
Oh, could you imagine?
But it's like, I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
The last thing I'll add is obviously I'm super excited for this. I'm a massive fan of One Punch Man. I have it's the statue in my office, and I just love the anime. So clearly I'm excited, but I'm also excited that if this movie is received well by the audience, that means this could open up a can of worms for live action anime in Hollywood in general. Because if this movie does really well, then every other studio is going to want to get in on it and be like, oh, well, maybe we'll try to adapt My Hero Academia, or maybe we'll do Dragon Ball again, and go, maybe we'll do One Piece, and start going into all these other popular shonen animes. And we have the comic book movie genre so popular over the last decade or so. Maybe the next big thing could be live action anime. If you know what I mean, this could spark it if it's done well.
I would honestly be surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah,
because anime has such a huge fan base at this point. Again,
massive.
Like I said, not just here in the US, but globally. I would say more so internationally than here in the US, obviously. And because the film industry has gone so global, and they depend so much on international sales, I cannot imagine, even if this is done. I mean, just for example, look at what Venom did globally in box office revenue, right? And and look, it was fun, but it had all kinds of problems. It was not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, and it made over $1 billion worldwide. So I cannot imagine this movie, if it's even done semi-well, I can't imagine it not, getting close to the $1 billion mark just out of sheer curiosity, unless it's terrible and word of mouth gets out like early on that it's awful.
I would imagine at the very least it's going to be fun, because if it's just that's a good enough jumping off point, before they figure it out. Because a lot of people don't, you got to remember when we first started getting like the Spider-Man movies, the X-Men movies, we like them for nostalgia and stuff's sake, but they had a lot of problems. You know what I mean? They weren't like what the MCU is now and all. You know, basically the comic book movie is perfected at this point, where back in the day they were still working. I mean, the X-Men were wearing leather suits. Leather freaking costumes. So you know what I mean? So this could be a good starting point for hopefully a good run of anime live action movies in the future.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys here to it being a really good true adaptation is going to be whether or not the filmmakers involved, writers, director, etc., are fans of anime or the franchise itself.
Yeah, for sure.
If they are, we're probably going to get something that's really fun. And like I said, I can't imagine it not, reaping those rewards at the box office, which, like you said, will then in turn, the consequence of that or the results of that will be probably a big move towards making a lot more anime live action films.
Yep.